everyone. Let's get started. It's 4 o'clock. We're at the Carson City Culture and Tourism Authority Board of Directors meeting. It's Monday, January 8th. We're in the Carson Community Center in the Bob Kroll Boardroom. Before we do a roll call, I'd like to introduce our newest member of the board, Damon Both. Damon, welcome. Looking forward to working with you.
Thank you. Thank you. There it is.
Linda, could we get a roll call, please?
Yes, Mike Jones, Bobby Rader.
Here.
Stacy Giomi. Here. Damon Bat. We have a quorum.
All right, if I could ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If I could ask everybody to remain standing, I wanted to talk a little bit. I think most of you know former member of the board, Stan Jones, passed away recently. He was a former member of our board and a member of a lot of boards with the city. He'll certainly be missed by his friends and also by people who benefited from Stan's involvement in the community. So if we could take a moment of silence for Stan. Thank you. We'll move on to item 4, public comment. Any member of the public would like to speak on any matter concerning this board? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 5, approval of minutes for the December 11th meeting. Any board member have any corrections, additions to the board? To the minutes? Seeing none, if I could get a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. That moves us on to the consent agenda. I'll ask if any member of the public would like any individual item pulled for individual discussion. And then I'll also ask the board if they would like any individual item pulled for discussion from the consent agenda. If not, I can get a motion.
Make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. That takes us on to item 9, discussion and possible action regarding the ratifying and authorizing of the issuance by Carson City of its Carson City, Nevada general obligation limited tax park bonds. I think, you know, we've discussed this here before, and this is more of a mechanical, I guess, move it on to the Board of Supervisors. Would I be correct there?
John Peterson with J&A Consulting Group, for the record. You're correct. This is the, we started the process back in August with the board. This is the final approval from the CTA for this bond issuance, and I just would report that the plan still remains the same. We will be taking the bond item to the Board of Supervisors at their upcoming meeting next Thursday, and seeking approval for that at their board meeting in early February. Bonds would be sold in mid-February. That's when all the terms of the bonds would be locked in, and financial close would be early March. We're expecting right now that the interest rate would be about 3.8, 3.7%. Obviously, that's subject to change until we get the final bids in February, but would pause there and just see if there are any questions from the board.
I'll open it up to the board for questions.
Yeah, that was where you anticipated rates would be? I mean, is that?
Well, I will say that rates did start to go up in October and had me a little bit worried.
Yeah.
But we have seen them come back down. So yes, we're much closer to where we started. And obviously, you know, markets still remain volatile. We'll see where they go over the next 5 weeks or so. But I think, sub 4% is a very good interest rate for being able to borrow for 20 years.
Yeah, yeah, especially now.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Well, if I could get a motion, maybe I'll make it. I move to adopt resolution number 2024-02 as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now we move on to item 10 for possible action and discussion regarding the annual performance review of David Peterson, Culture and Tourism Authority, CTA Executive Director. The review of past objectives and the adoption of future objectives for the Executive Director and approval of an overall rating of his performance over the past year. Chris, you want to give us the details?
So I'll just read the staff summary. On December 17th of 2019, the CTA board appointed David Peterson to serve as the executive director for CTA. Pursuant NRS 244A.619, CTA is authorized to hire and retain officers, and as such, any annual performance review of such officers will be done by the CTA board during a public meeting. Mr. Peterson was provided notice of the annual performance review on December 7th of 2023, and per the CTA employee policies and procedures, employees may receive an annual merit increase for work performance upon recommendation of the appointing authority at a maximum of 5% per year until the employee reaches the top of the pay range for the position. The CTA board will consider Mr. Peterson's performance as the executive director for the period of December 17th, 22 to December 16th of 23, and will adopt the performance objectives for the next review. So when you're deciding what you'd like to do for the review, you have the merit increase percentages are listed below. Below expectations would be 0%, meet expectations would be 2, above expectations would 3.5, and an outstanding would be 5. So we just need you guys to let me know what you want to do there.
Thank you. Well, I can say this is one of my least favorite, it's most odd, I guess, duties discussing someone's performance in a public forum, but that's the hand we're dealt. So, David, we'll kind of follow along in past years. I'd like you to go over your past objectives for 23, and then we'll stop and have the board ask any questions or comments on those objectives and the completion of those, and then we'll move to your objectives for 24.
Okay. Thank you, Chair Jones. For the record, David Peterson, Executive Director with Visit Carson City. Let me just say, I think it was a great year that we had here in Carson City from a tourism perspective. And I want to thank the team because really, I know not everybody's here today, but it's the 6 of them that have made Visit Carson City, I think, an amazing organization. I certainly enjoy coming into work and working with each one of these folks. We had some challenges, sure, on the staffing side, having not lost, but our arts and culture program manager left, but now we have Mr. Brooks, which has just been great, and he's certainly picked the ball up and ran with it. But to the rest of the team, I think this is a reflection on the great work that each and every one of you have done for the past year. So having said that, we'll jump right into the objectives that you all established for me last January for this past calendar year. So objective 1 was to update the 2005 room tax policies and procedures. An updated draft of those CTA room tax policies and procedures was completed in December. The draft is actually sitting with the DA's office right now to review, and hopefully, and I don't know if this can or can't be the case, if we can present them to the board in February or March. I know a lot of this may have to do with some changes to the municipal code that may need to take place, and I don't know what the timing is of that, and so I don't know, Todd, if I say anything incorrect on that front. So I'd like to get him back, in March, but I think we'll have to see how things are going on the municipal code side. And on this one, I want to give a huge shout out to Chris. The policies that we had, as you can see, were from 2005. They were typewritten on some weird paper that we could not scan to digitize. So Chris literally rekeyed, I don't know how many pages, but 100 pages or whatever of policies from 2005. So this was, I think, a great undertaking. I appreciate Chris for doing this. And so we will bring back a clean copy with a red line. And I just don't know how this will work with the CCMCs, because as we were going through this, we did realize that some of the municipal code is actually not right because it has changed, right? And what we're doing from a room tax perspective has changed since 2005. So that's my update on number one. Number two, prepare and provide an update to the CTA board regarding the progress made relative to the objectives included in the Arts and Culture Strategic Plan for Carson City. We did get this completed in October, but we didn't have a meeting. So this is what I presented to the board at the November meeting. And we will continue to do this each year in terms of the CTA's part of this whole plan. So yes, it's the cities, but we are tied directly into that plan as Visit Carson City. So that one was completed. And then I'm excited here on number three, host 3 and new special events in Carson City. And again, shout out here to Stu and Eric, who before us was, with Brewery Arts Center, because he's on one of these for the Murals and Music Festival that we had in September. But as you all know, we obviously brought the Mark Twain Days Festival, so we had the inaugural one in April. That Fraufecht HEMA Women's Tournament, that was new for us in September. Kudos to Stu on that one. And same thing, Bronco Super Celebration in October, and then the Capital City Crushers. That was the NICA race. Both of those were brand new to Carson City. I'd say great work to Stu again for getting people to think of Carson City differently, right, in terms of bringing their events here. And I'm happy to say, we're second annual, so we're going to continue on with Mark Twain. Every one of these, they're not one and dones. These will continue to move forward. They will evolve. I don't want to get ahead of Eric, on Mark Twain, but I think partnering with the Brewery Arts Center, we're just going to take this thing to the next level, to be honest with you. So I'm super excited about the events that we brought here to Carson City, or partnered to bring here to Carson City this past year. Number 4, update the CTA personnel policy. So this is in progress. Again, a lot of things came up during this past year. This is one of those that we just had to kind of shift, put it on a back burner to accomplish some other things. The plan is, Chris and I will get this completed in August. We've got a course of action on this, and plans then to bring it to you all at the September board meeting. And the only reason it's going to come forward to the board and talking with Todd is because this policy does impact me, and I obviously report to the board. So I just want to have this be a transparent process in terms of an updated personnel policy coming forward. So that is something that will continue on into 24, but I do have that on the 2024 objective. So you'll see that one again. And number 5, leverage a data analytics platform to better understand the success of our events and the associated visitor experiences to ensure event support and marketing investment aligns with the intended visitor experience. So you all know, obviously, my background is rooted in data. It's rooted in analytics research. I was very excited that we were able to finally partner with an analytics platform. So the way that this rolled out, and the platform that we went with as Visit Carson City, is Datafy. So our dashboard development, creation, building out, 100 and whatever it was, 20 different points of interest, all the Polygon stuff that Stu and Lydia and Deborah were working on, the team was working on, that was completed back in March. We dropped initial lodging tax data into the platform in October. So that was, I think, fiscal probably 22 or 23, forgive me for not remembering. Now we're going to go back and reload the historical data for the past probably 6 fiscal years at this point, back to 2018. But that initial data load was completed in October. The reason for that, as you guys know, as the collector of the lodging tax data, we don't have to rely on a third party like a Smith Travel Research, because we actually have all 19 properties information that we can then aggregate and use as a particular input, in this case, into the Datafy platform. So we're continuing to work through the historical years. That will be loaded, I think, before the end of next month. We should be up and running with the historical lodging data. And then one of the really exciting things, and I know we previously talked about this heading into the fall, early winter, is launching an advertising by using the media platform within DataFi. So we're actually using our analytics. Again, for reference, this is mobile data. So you're looking at people coming into and out of the destination. Where did they originate? You know, they fly in. We can see all these different analytics metrics, which I think is great. It's all above board, just for anybody listening in the audience. It's not a Big Brother situation. It's aggregated data, so we're not individually identifying visitors to Carson City or residents or anything like that. It's all in aggregate. But to leverage our own analytics, our own data to help guide and drive a media buy, that's really where we want to be with anything that we do. That buy just started in November. We're on a little bit of a data lag on that, just in terms of timing, because I think there's like a 3 to 4 week, I'm looking at Ryan, I think a 3 to 4 week delay on the data. So we're running November, December, and January. Yep. So we will continue to look at the results as they're coming in and then provide some reporting back, obviously, to the board. But I certainly want to take advantage of this media platform if this pans out and allows us to do what I think it's going to do to hone in on specific areas, markets in California, and really focus in on zip codes within primary DMAs, designated market areas. So anyway, I'm excited about the DataFi side of things. And the sixth objective that you all established for me last year was to create and implement an international PR marketing campaign promoting a Capital to Tahoe Trail Challenge to Mexico and Canada. So I'm happy to say we're going to move forward with the Canada piece of this, and you will see this when we get to the marketing PR presentation a little later today, but we're going to go with the Carson City to Canada Challenge activation. The strategic brief on that, we did complete that back in October. Legal review completed, thank you, Todd, in December, and we anticipate the activation. Obviously, we're presenting it today, but we hope later this month to be able to release this, just given the timeline for permits and everything for folks that are gonna take this quest on, which is pretty cool for our first activation that doesn't have to do with a concert, I guess, per se. So excited about that. So those are the objectives that you all established, and that is my update, Chair, on what was
This
accomplished.
time I'll open it up for discussion on objectives for 23. Board member?
Thank you. I guess I'll engage Todd maybe here at the same time. On item number 1, is it that you've completed the internal draft review? So we have, by we meaning the CTA, has a set of policies with suggested language. Is that a fair statement?
Do you want to take that, Chris?
So I took the 2005 policies and retyped them all, and then went in and updated changes like our name change and any kind of things that no longer pertain to, and then cleaned up some of the language that I know. And then also the CCMCs have information that will need to be updated before, I don't know, Todd might be able to help me with this, but before I can release the new policies, because the policies refer to the CCMCs, so.
Right.
kind
So
of an
when
update
you
at both
updated
times.
the policy,
Mhm.
you did it in track changes, right? So you're saying that it is updated in as much as you have knowledge of the CCMC component.
Yes.
So, are there any updates at all to the CCMC? Or,
This is Todd Reese, Deputy DA. I don't, the CCMC, if I'm understanding correctly, the CCMC that you're referring to is the room tax code. That's in chapter 4, I believe. I don't know that the DA's office is going to get to chapter 4 let me rephrase it this way. I don't know when we're going to get to chapter 4. We're working on chapter 18 right now,
Yeah,
and I know you're well aware of
familiar
that.
with that. I'm
So I think what we should do is, if the policies are updated, policies and procedures are updated to the current code, then I will take a look at them and process them and push them through based upon the current code. And then when that portion of the code is updated, we can update the policies.
So, do you know, either of you, how, because Title IV is more than just room tax.
Correct.
So, I mean, roughly, what percentage of Title IV deals with what would overlap with this? It's a small percentage, if I'm recalling correctly.
You are recalling correctly.
So, okay. I mean, from the Board of Supervisors perspective, we could ask that maybe that section get updated. And I know that that's not what the DA's office wants to do, but, okay, well, the CTA is not going to drive that one way or the other. So I guess what I'm getting at is I would at very least like to see the draft that Chris has completed and maybe a list of the potential conflicts under CCMC brought to us. Is that something that can be done in a reasonable amount of time?
I think so, yes. We can aim for.
Would you like me to define reasonable? Or would you prefer to define reasonable?
Reasonable minds can differ. I think that could be brought before the board in the next meeting or two.
Okay. Because while, David, you have a comment in here about updating the personnel policy, you didn't have anything carrying forward on the room tax policy. So at the very least, I think I'd like to put a March deadline in to have the draft document of the policy and a related notation of what CCMCs may be affected by the end of March,
That sounds good.
based on
Okay.
what Todd said. That seems doable, right?
If we go with the end of March, then would we bring that back in front of you all at the April meeting?
Well, no, because you would miss the deadline then.
Right.
The end of March would be the deadline, so you would miss the deadline.
Yeah. But I don't want to speak for Todd. I mean, is there a way we could get this done in February and bring it to the March meeting?
I think that we can
Okay.
meet the deadlines for the March meeting. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
And I don't think I expect, Todd, I think you know this, I don't expect that it's in the format that you guys are going to, just what needs to be changed. I'd be comfortable if we had, highlighted what needed to be changed, so we
Right.
could at least start looking at it and providing input so that we're not going through the process of revising it, and then providing input when we could have done it all at one time. So I'm just trying to move it forward a little bit faster. Boy, I had another thought, but the reasonable mind that I had is gone, so. Give me 1 second, if you would. I think the other comment I had, the other thing in terms of, and I know this is, well, I'll wait because it's related, or do you want to go on to next year? Do you want me to wait? Because the other couple of issues I have are related to going on to next year.
I think it probably makes sense to wait.
Okay. Then I think I'm good with, the previous year's objectives. I don't have any other questions.
Any other discussion on previous years from any board member? If not, David, why don't you move on to 24?
Okay, do you want me to read through these then, Mike, or just address questions? Just take questions?
I think you could read through them
Okay.
and then take questions
All right.
individually.
Fair enough. Okay, so we've got number 1, integrate a no commission booking engine on visitcarsoncity.com, February 2024 completion. Number 2, update the CTA personnel policy, September 2024 completion, and that's a carry forward. Number 3, prepare and provide an update to the CTA board regarding the progress made relative to the objectives included within the Carson City Arts and Culture Strategic Plan, October 2023. Stacy, this is a carryover because you had asked a year ago to include this as a standing item moving forward. So, and I kept the verbiage the same. Number 4, host, develop 3.
So
Go ahead.
why would that still say October 2023?
It's a good point. Let's make that 2024, so it doesn't look like it's already done. You're right. I will.
It's pretty easy to accomplish things that have already been accomplished.
Yeah, it is. I just help padding the stats, Stacy. Thank you for pointing that out. Number 4, host, develop 3 new special events in Carson City. I've given that as a December 2024 completion. New one is to host, develop 1 new meeting, convention, or group motor coach tour, December 2024 completion. That ties back to the work that we're doing with Stu's leadership on all things trade show related, Go West, the ABAs of the world, NTA, IPW. Number 6, leverage the Datafy analytics platform to better understand the success of our events and the associated visitor experiences to ensure event support and marketing investment aligns with the intended visitor experience. I kept this in. I think it's important enough that we continue to leverage, in this case, the Datafy platform. So I called out Datafy because this needs to be a part of what we're doing as an organization, whether it's arts, it's Stu, what Stu's doing, or marketing and PR straight up. And so you can choose, of course, if you'd like to take that out. But I think this is a guiding force for me, and I think I've done a good job of instilling that on the team, that we need to leverage the analytics that are available to us, in this case, identifying the particular platform with Datafy, because it does guide the decisions that this organization is making as a whole, but also programmatically. So I did leave that one in there for consideration, of course. And then number 7, create and implement a pop-up activation, December 2024. And we do have something that we'll be working toward for the fall, probably November timeline on that one. But I didn't call out anything specifically yet, as we're still working through those details. So those are the 7. Did I miss one? Sorry, did I? Oh, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, yes. So then there would be an 8th one to add a draft of the room tax policies and procedures, along with related CCMCs that may change, and we would put that as a March 2024 completion. Thank you, Chris, sorry. So that would be number 8, which would be an added item.
So once again, I'll ask for discussion on objectives for 2024. Board Member Rader?
I just have a quick question. Maybe it doesn't belong on this list, but the Cultural Corridor project, maybe just continuing to be involved in that.
Well, that's an excellent question. It's going to be huge for us moving forward. I mean, we're applying for some share of $2 million. And that project, I mean, Eric is going to be, thank you, Eric, eyes and ears on this project. But certainly, if you all would like to add that in, I would. The only thing, just speaking for myself, I'd be a bit uncomfortable trying to put a dollar amount on how much money we might secure, of that funding, because I have zero control over that in terms of the way that they will launch the grant program. But that is a pretty big, project that we are the lead organization at present on, and we should finish the strategic planning on that end of March, but I really think it's going to be April, and then we'll make the application for some share of the funds, along with now 4 other projects that were selected by Travel Nevada. But certainly, you could put that down. You might have to help me in terms of how you would want that to read.
Maybe
Bobby?
just continue to be a part of the strategic planning team, and
Sure.
I mean, it won't have a completion date, but it's an ongoing
Yeah.
goal.
Maybe we could have it be, give me the year, have it be December, and, as I can, of course, report as far as we get along in the project, right? the actual application process and the timing around that has not been laid out by the Travel Nevada team. But certainly I've got to believe by the end of April, maybe May, I would think we'll be, maybe June, but we'll be submitting the application for the 3D Cultural Corridor project, as it's currently called, that we are the lead organization on with our peer groups in Douglas County and Story County. But yeah,
How
I'm
about,
totally fine with that.
how about serve as lead organization to the Cultural Corridor Project and submit the regional application to Travel Nevada by the deadline set by the state?
Oh, you're really good at that.
Yeah, wow. It's perfect if you could just say add 3D, because that's the actual program. So it's a 3D Cultural Corridor project. I
Okay.
think that's perfect. Yeah, I love it. Thank you, Stacy.
Did someone write that down?
I'm working on it. Yeah. Well, we
There is a
have the
recording.
minutes, Stacy.
There-
We can
there is
look
a
at those tomorrow,
There you go.
during
Good.
lunch.
Excellent.
So Mike, that would become 9, because 8 is to add the draft, or basically bring the policy and procedure draft on room taxes plus the related CCMC changes. So this will be 9. Or do you want to switch?
Are you
the order?
comfortable with that?
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. I think it's great. Yeah, it's a phenomenal project, and Bobby
yeah,
is
we're
on the
We're doing it
committee with
anyway, so, I mean,
yeah,
it's just,
We are.
but it's good to set a deadline and.
Yep.
Um,
I'm totally fine with that.
I had a couple of other questions. One was, I guess this is for discussion on the board. You know, we had a previous goal of establishing a cultural map on our website. And, you know, the last update I got from Eric and you was that the way it was set up wasn't really working. So are we just, I guess, as a board, are we comfortable saying, let's not do that? Or are we comfortable saying, let's put a deadline in and try and get that fixed so that it works? I don't know that I'm comfortable saying, you know, let's pitch it, but I may not fully understand, you know, the issues that Eric brought up at, was last meeting or meeting before.
Right. Some of it is technical. My biggest
Then
concern.
I'm out. Go ahead.
The idea of having to pay a third party a couple $1,000s a year to simply make updates to whether it's organization names or we get a new organization, because we were using GIS data modeling, and you have to tie into that, right, and working with the city on that. I think as we re-envision the arts and culture section of our website, there's two parts to this. And Eric and I have been talking about this, and we do have some plans for the consumer side of the website as well as the .biz side of the website. What I want to be able to do with the arts and culture organizations on the .biz website is to give them a greater visibility on the business side of the website, similar to what we've done with different places that have small meeting space, convention space, etc. So we want to create a section on the .biz website for the 18 different cultural organizations that we have in Carson City. That may include museums, however, you know, that all shakes out. What we need to rethink, and if you guys on KPS3 side want to chime in too on the technical side of, it was very clumsy how we had to take that third party's sort of tool and just dump it into our website. We could not brand it. We could not make it look like the rest of the website. So when you got to that page, you're like, oh my eyes, you know, Chris probably throwing up in her mouth looking at that page, quite frankly, because it was not aesthetically pleasing. It looked like it was on the wrong website, quite frankly. It did not integrate in very well with our website. And so we are going to figure out a different alternative to that. It may not look exactly like that third party kind of, I don't know, plug-in, if that's the right name or not. But I want to do something, Stacy, and for the whole board, that we can create and then we can update ourselves, right? So Zach can work on that, Lydia, or if Eric needed to get in there or whatever, and update. So I think it's just a question of looking at what we want that UI, UX, that user experience to be like, and how we're highlighting the creative economy and the different businesses, and then plotting, you know, them out sort of on a map.
Well, it's more than just businesses, right? I mean, to be clear, it's more than just businesses. It's
So
cultural assets.
it was,
It's
yes.
you know, the mind of Da Vinci. It's
Yeah.
you know, the roundabout artwork. It's the Maya Angelou statue.
You are right.
I think
Yeah.
it's all of the paintings that were just
Yeah.
done that should be highlighted and appreciated.
Yep.
I guess it's all of that, and I don't, you know, I
And
don't know. I mean, you know, maybe there's an opportunity. I mean, the city has pretty powerful GIS tools, and
we worked with them. They
and
did help,
good.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's a site that can be hosted on the Parks and Rec Commission's website,
Sure,
minus the business component.
right,
Um,
right.
with you know their with the cultural program that they have.
Yeah, could be. Mhm. It's,
Or maybe, you know, maybe there's, this seems like a really good grant opportunity, because I understand the technical issues, but I also I also think that if we're trying to get people to come to the region for the historical items that we have here,
yeah,
that it would be beneficial to have a place where
totally
all
agree.
of the stops on the
Yep.
on the Kid Carson Trail could be brought up.
And those are, and to your point.
Yes,
it's
they're
its-
in a
it's its
separate
own-
spot. I
yep,
know
yep,
that,
yep,
but
yeah,
but
yeah,
but if you brought that up and at the same time saw, oh,
Yeah.
you know, the artist, whomever, I can't think of the name of the artist who did the Da Vinci statue, you know, has Inside the Mind of Da Vinci and a little bit about it, might encourage people to go to it. So I'm comfortable
agree.
leaving it off. You know, I think there's a lot of benefit to it. I think there's a lot of benefit to it.
And and that's why we took a stab at doing this. I know, like I said, it was a bit
Yeah.
clunky and weird, and
Well, I think
you
we had
know.
to do that to know that it wasn't going to work the way we wanted it to. So
Agreed.
I
Yeah,
I don't
and-
want it to go away.
well, I can assure you it won't go away. The concept around it, it was so difficult too. I think when we loaded, when Deborah and I did the initial load on that, there were 1,100 points of interest. So when that map came up, it was like a giant blob of things exactly everywhere. And we were not allowed to categorize things, to customize it, because again, that GIS software, it's universal. Everybody's, tapping into it. So we could not customize something to meet our needs. And that's what I think with KPS3, perhaps on our website, we could come up with a customized solution that we then ourselves can control content, how people are listed, where they're listed. To your point, if somebody was looking for a public art, what I would want them to be able to, just hit public art, boom. 72 different places show up, right? If you wanted to drill down, have murals, public murals, right? Or installations, roundabout, whatever, a way to kind of drill down for
Well,
people.
it might be worth having a discussion with Jen at Parks and Rec and their new.
Yeah, with Anna, sure.
With Anna.
Let's
and
do that,
just-
yeah.
And see if they may be willing to host it, because I know that there's pretty powerful GIS stuff that they already have with layers that already exist.
Yep,
And if they could sort of parcel off a piece
for us.
of that,
Yep.
You could do the same, because right now it's fire hydrants and water
Everything.
mains and, and
Yeah,
if they can do it with that,
Right,
this is just
right.
another layer,
Yeah.
or multiple layers, I guess. I will leave it off then.
Okay. But know that I am committed to figuring out a solution that makes sense, Stacy, for our website
Okay.
without having what I would consider to be a negative user experience,
Right,
on the website, because the last thing you want to do is bring somebody into it and then
Yeah, and they can't get
13
anything
clicks
out of it.
later
Right.
and they still can't get to what it is they want to get to. Then they just leave the website, right? And we lost those particular visitors. But I think we can come up with a plan of attack, and with Brooks on board, and talk to Anna. I think we can get something that'll work.
And the other comment I had is with the bond issue, going forward and passing, do we feel like we should have something on there about us? I know you're not going to be able to have strong influence, but certainly would be nice to interface with the city on the design of that complex, so that you're getting input to the city on what's important from a perspective of people coming in from the outside. And I don't want the city to not have that.
I would love to
So I think,
have a seat at the
you
table.
know, as much as that, and I can talk to Jen about that, but I mean, you know, again, I don't know if we put it on here as a goal, because if she says no, you know, I don't think she will, but if she says no, then there's nothing you can do. So I don't want to burden you with that, but,
Sure.
I
Jen has
would
been very,
definitely like to have you,
yep.
you know, be involved.
And I've raised my hand, and I think it's Nick, it's over there.
Nick
which-
Wentworth, yeah.
Whitworth, they've been great. So as far as where we've been at, they've been kind enough to include me in the conversations. Stu has been a part of those conversations as well, because I think we can be the voice of event
Yes.
owners, tournament owners, right? What are they looking for facilities wise, food and
I think
beverage?
of little things like, you know, having, scoreboards that
Yes.
actually work, where,
Yeah,
you know, you could advertise, or the city could advertise, or
exactly.
maybe potentially CTA could,
Yep.
in a cooperative effort, advertise, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
They've been very good, Stacy. So I think we have a really super good relationship with Jen and the whole team. You know, as far as, you know, when it gets down to the nitty gritty, I realize ultimately
Yeah.
that's probably the Board of Supervisors'
No,
decision,
It's
but
probably gonna, yes, but as a board, we're gonna listen to, you know, the experts most
Mhm.
of the time. And, you know, sometimes we're stubborn and we don't, but
sure.
as a body, I think we're gonna listen to the experts. And you know, I
Yeah.
think we want opinions from multiple sources who will talk about what, you know, because I mean, we're spending $5 million. Let's do it. Let's do it
Let's
right.
do it. And that's exactly
Let's
what
do it right,
Stu and
you
I,
know?
the conversation we have with Jen and the whole team is let's think this through, you know, soup to nuts. The idea of, what does the terms do? Multi-use, where you can configure the outfields and perhaps turn them into a lacrosse field or something along those lines, or a soccer field, or
Yeah,
too
that
small.
might be a little more difficult. But
Yeah, maybe, but just the idea of thinking beyond just softball is how could those fields be reimagined to serve the needs of other sports, right? Type tournaments, or beyond that, concert. You know, just thinking
Yeah.
a little bit differently and what would make sense. And they have been, like I said, they've been really good. You know, and we're obviously closely aligned with them with the interlocal already and what we do with the endorsed events. So. I would say, you know, kudos to them for thinking of us all already,
Okay.
you know, in terms of how that facility will be designed and developed. But yeah, I think we bring a great, not that they don't have those connections too, but as Stu is looking to new folks to bring them in to
Right.
Carson City, you know, soliciting from them, what are you looking for when you're looking to bring your tournament to a new city? Are there specific features you're looking for? Facilities, parking, whatever, you know, it could be the
well, yeah,
simplest.
hopefully he has the contacts and can be reaching out,
Yep.
you know, now in the next 2 or 3 months and saying,
Yeah.
hey, if we build it, what will bring you here?
Yeah,
you know?
we actually have
So.
been engaged in
Good.
conversations with a particular couple of guys out of California and Las Vegas, and actually talking to them about the new facility up there. You know, there are those though who don't want to play on the AstroTurf or whatever
know.
it is. They prefer the natural grass,
Yeah,
but
well.
because of injury, whatever. But yeah, so we've been as much as we can, you know, letting some folks know privately and assessing their needs. So.
Again, I don't think that has to be I want it brought up so that it's in
Yeah,
your mind, you know.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be an action item, but I think, not to belabor Stacy's point, we're the ones, or you and your team have to sell it. So you have to know what the end user wants. So working with Jen, I think it's a good idea on that. And as far as the cultural map, yeah, I don't want to pitch it. I think it's another point on our website that sells. Sounds like there's some technical issues that we've got to work through. But is there, you know, we're talking about it and we're not going to make it an item, but is there a time for an update on where we're at during this?
So I'm looking at KPS3 and Eric, our plan, or my plan maybe, but our plan, let's say collectively, on some website updates, including, thank you, Eric, for the arts and culture section. I do want to see that done this calendar year. I really do. And you know, can I say that we can get that done by the summer? I don't know. timing wise. The map piece, depending on what we replace it with, is one component. There's the .biz side of it with the actual arts and culture organizations, getting them loaded on. I mean, that could probably get that done in a month. So I'm thinking as we kind of lay out the updates between this fiscal and next fiscal year, because remember, we split the fiscal years in terms of the way we have the contract set up with KPSR. There are several things that we have in the pipeline, one of which you'll see with the RIPE integration a little bit later during the meeting, that have kind of popped up and pushed us back a little bit on a couple of pieces. But if you all feel strongly enough about the arts and culture section, maybe we can do the low-hanging fruit. Maybe we get the .biz side figured out, because we can control that. And you just shake your head if I say something that's wrong, you guys. We could control that once we get the tiles created, right? Treat it similar to the meeting and convention space section. So I think we can get that up and running. On the, it's going to take a little bit of thought process to really, because I do want to do this right, you guys. I think if we're going to spend some money, not only on the contractual side, but with the staff's time, with Eric's time, I want to make sure that we do this correctly, and from a user experience, it makes sense and people can easily get through, whether it is a mapping feature, to what it is they're looking for. Like you said, Stacy, maybe they're looking for public art installations, or they're just looking for the murals, that are up around town. And let's make that an easy process for them to navigate that, whether they're home or they're standing in front of a mural, on their phone right here in Carson City. But the commitment I would make to you all is that we will get this done this calendar year on the arts and culture side of things, and just have to break it down into pieces. And some pieces will be more easily accomplished than others, but we'll get this taken care of this year. So.
Any other discussion on 24 objectives? So I'll ask each board member their thoughts on David. I'll start with Board Member Rader.
I just think it's been an outstanding year for Visit Carson City, the whole team, of course, but with David's leadership, I think they've accomplished so many really important goals, and I think it was an outstanding year.
Board Member Giomi.
I agree.
Board Member Both.
I'm gonna have to recuse myself because I haven't really worked with David, but from what I've heard, he's done an amazing job, and I'm looking forward to this year.
I'll finish up when I wrote down some things I thought about David this past year. Last year, I think I mentioned he checked off all the boxes for me last year, and I think the boxes change every year, and as they should as things evolve, and David certainly has checked them all. Again, some of the things I wrote down is tireless effort in promoting Carson City, innovative leader, passionate about his job, strategic thinker, involved in the community. And one of the important ones for me, that we've moved in a direction where he understands the balance between economic growth and cultural preservation in our city. And I think those are important things. So I would also give David and agree that an outstanding year for him. So with that, there's no more discussion.
I'd be happy to make a motion.
Give us a motion.
I move to approve the performance evaluation and the calendar year 24 objectives, with the addition of items 8 and 9 as discussed on the record, and set Mr. Peterson's rating at outstanding.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. It passes 4 in favor and 1 abstention.
Yeah, I abstain.
3 in favor. And if the fourth one was here, I think they would agree too. But 3 in favor with 1 abstention. All right, now we'll move on to monthly non-action items. David, Director's report.
Thank you, Chair. and Thank you to all of you for your kind comments. With that, we'll move on to 11A, which are our monthly non-action items for presentation and discussion only. 11A is the Executive Director's update. The only thing I have this month is just to mention Travel Nevada will be opening up their fiscal year 2025 marketing grant program. We believe later this month, the team and I have a webinar that we'll be participating on next Friday morning, which will address some of the forthcoming changes that are going on within Travel Nevada and their program. So that is my one update for this month. Unless there are questions, I will go ahead and move on to 11B, which is our transient occupancy tax actual versus forecast. That's the big sheet in your packet. We are through October in terms of actuals. And we did drop just a hair as compared to budget. We came in about 33,000 under budget. That's that 1.43% drop you see. And then relative to October of 2022, we were down 3.4%. So a couple of great months there, August, September, October dipped a little bit. I haven't modified anything moving forward, so I basically left the budget numbers as we reviewed with the final budget in May. And I just kind of want to see how things go with the November numbers before Chris and I take a look at making any adjustments or anything like that. So in terms of where we're forecasted against the budget, we would be up 1.55%. So if you shift all the way to that furthest right column, we'll be up, projected to be up about 433,000 over the budget that we set. And then in terms of prior fiscal, we'd be down about 1.83%. So again, going into the year, I think that if I recall the way the numbers looked, I think we thought we might be down 2% as compared to fiscal 23 for this current fiscal year. So still tracking, I think, quite nicely. And I'm happy to address any questions that the board may have on this particular item. Okay, with that, let's move on to the fun, exciting stuff. We'll move on to 11C, Arts and Culture Update with Mr. Brooks. And there it is. Notice I'm letting them handle their own presentations this time so we don't have any technical glitches. Trusting in the team.
Good evening, everyone. Arts and Culture. We've got a great picture there from the Levitt Concert Series at Brewery Arts Center. And we'll be talking about just a couple of points. A destination sponsorship for that Levitt Amp Concert Series, and also Mark Twain Days 2.0. We're going to do that May 10th, 11th, and 12th this year. Another great picture of one of the concerts, averaging around 2,000 people a week, but we'll get more down to those details. The Levitt Amp Series is a national event. It takes place in cities all over the country. This is the Carson City page on the Levitt Foundation website. It has all kinds of information about Carson City, about Brewery Arts Center, and about the transformation that has helped make the historic areas of Carson City more walkable and definitely being an attraction. So the Levitt Amp Music Series has been at Brewery Arts Center. I'm sure all of you have been able to attend at least some of those over the years. It's re-energizing the historic capital. Since 2016, the Levitt Amp, which stands for Amplify Music and Place. Thank you. You're doing an outstanding job. Since 2016, the Levitt Amp, which stands for Amplify Music and Place, has fostered an exciting new chapter of inclusion, diversity, and engagement. Brewery Arts Center has presented more than 80 free concerts with over 150,000 people in attendance. A closed portion of Minnesota Street has been transformed into a thriving cultural destination for all ages and backgrounds. With nearly 60,000 residents in Carson, it's the beginning stages of becoming a cultural destination. The music series further solidifies the brewery art's role in community building. It fuels downtown business, increases foot traffic, and visitor frequency. We will become the destination sponsor for the Levitt Amp Summer Concert Series at Brewery Arts Center. This sponsorship agreement will be for the calendar years of 2024, 25, and 26. A prominent Visit Carson City logo placement will be on stage banners during all 10 summer concerts. A Visit Carson City commercial of 15 to 30 seconds will air before, during, and after intermission on the large video wall. We will have 1 year of ad placements on the video screen in the exhibition hall lobby during the 2024 calendar year, which will change monthly. This program utilizes a diverse lineup of national musicians, creating strong social and civic relationships. The crowds, nearing 3,000 each week, attend from throughout the region. And we'll be able to do the analytics that David was talking about with Datify along this concert series as well, which will help with all kinds of fun things in the future. Secondly, the second annual Mark Twain Days Festival. If you were able to attend it last year, I'm sure you found some enjoyment from it. We are turning this event over to Brewery Arts Center and still keeping ties with the community in even a bigger way. We've started to have these meetings. We'll start going through this, and then if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them or clarify them. May 10th, 11th, and 12th, Mark Twain Days. The 2024 event will grow with targeted community partnering to activate an immersive, interactive art and cultural experience. More emphasis on the literary arts with a local author book fair, including rare books, a partnership with the Carson City Library, Brewery Arts Center, Western Nevada College, and local schools. Ticketed music at night and free music during the Saturday vendor market. Ticketed Twain train to Virginia City with music and entertainment, and that is both on the train and also in Virginia City. We'll have a ghost walk with Mary Bennett and her cast. Mark Twain-related exhibitions at St. Mary's Art Center in Virginia City and at the Brewery Arts Performance Hall and other alternative galleries in Carson City. And we're hoping to work with the CCAI on that as well. Then we'll also have movies at the Performance Hall with the Carson City Classic Cinema Club. We'll have some Chautauqua gala events at the Nevada State Railroad Museum. That's still tentative, but that's the goal, is to have it there this year. And we'll be having a scavenger hunt and a costume contest. Any questions so far on the Mark Twain Days? Well, thank you very much, everyone. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, I'm excited about the relationship with BAC. I think this is just going to take everything kind of to the next level for us. So thank you, Eric and Spike. I want to give a shout out to Spike as well and BAC. So if there are no questions, we will move on to 11D, which is an events and sales update by Mr. Stu Wexler. Just click that one on the far left, Stu, from beginning. Just a little bit down. Oop. Yep. Right. Oh, just a little below that. Yep. There you go. Perfect. Got her.
For the record, Stu Wexler, Visit Carson City. Just going to go over some of the events that are going to be coming up for this coming year. So just some of the outline: Nashville events and Go West and Adventure Day. So the ABA, American Bus Association show is coming up this Friday. It is, as David mentioned, motor coach networking, and it is where a lot of DMOs will go from table to table, making appointments with some of these operators to, obviously, for us to bring into Carson City. The American Bus Association, ABA, probably is one of our better ones, our bigger ones. A lot of it has started on the East Coast, but this will be my second show. So as I've seen so far, there is an expansion, there is an interest in the motor coaches coming to the West Coast. And this is time to sell Carson City. As I mentioned before, It's like speed dating. You have 7 minutes to sell Carson City. So when I first started with IPW, it's like I said everything there is about Carson City in 5 minutes, and they're looking at me like, "What are you talking about?" So what I started with, I try and do 3 focus points. For us, foremost, is our proximity. Our location to everything is incredible. And these tour operators really look for that. The gateway cities, San Francisco, Sacramento, Salt Lake, Vegas, that we are so close in actually driving and flight to Carson City. So that is become very important and to these tour operators. The ease, the access of coming into Carson City is pretty incredible, and they really show interest in that. And the second one, what I've seen is our historic aspect of Carson City. The whole region is pretty amazing, and there's a big interest, and especially, as I mentioned before, many times, international travel is very interested in the historic aspect of Carson. And just Eric talking about the arts and culture is part of what I'm going to incorporate into these shows now, because we do see a lot of interest in arts and culture. It's not just sporting events. You know, people are very interested in, there would be like something like murals and music, what Eric just put on last year. So that is going to be incorporated into that. So you do have a short time. You focus on a few points, what Carson City has to offer, especially our incredible lodging properties that we have here in Carson City is of interest also, obviously, to these tour operators. So as of right now, I have scheduled 42 appointments to meet with everyone table to table. You do get 3 to 5 cancellations. Some people just don't show up to show. Some people are no shows. So figure 35 to 40 is what the average show appointment you'll get. So and that's the ABA show. And this year it's in Nashville, and which is going to be huge. They expect a bigger turnout than what we had last year in Detroit. So, and what I've seen so far, and I think Mike asked me this one time, what I've seen so far, just in the evaluation that I've been here, it usually takes a good couple years to confirm appointments. It's a matter of follow-up. You know, once you make the contact, you follow up throughout the year, and then, you know, you get to see maybe the year or the year after, hopefully appointments or tours and motor coach coming to Carson City. Any questions on the ABA?
I have a motor coach question in general. As you were sitting there talking about it, I think back, I mean, this is decades ago, but, it was fairly frequent, and, I probably remembers this, where you'd get a bus that would come up for a weekend from the Bay Area to go to the casinos and spend the night, a couple of nights at the hotel, come up on Friday, a host hotel might do a dinner for them, or comp them a dinner and, some slot play or something. Does that just not happen anymore?
No, actually, they have motor coach appointments they have a number of different tours you can sign up for. And what I've seen, just making appointments and going through everything, they do have casino tours that come up. The only thing I would say to that is they tend to go to the bigger cities, the Vegas, where you have the huge resorts. But they are a few that I'm seeing now that like the rural areas, like the smaller, quiet times, and with us having the casinos, that is a big plus for that. But they still do what you're talking about.
I mean, the ones I'm remembering, my aunts were in their 60s or 70s, and they would go with their group of, and they always came here. They were at the Ormsby House. They went to the Nugget when they had their hotel, and so anyway, I
Yeah,
thought
no,
I'd ask if
they
that's
still have
something
that.
that's-
And then once you open the Ormsby again,
Nothing to do with me. You know, I know pre-COVID, I'm fairly involved with the Wendover community. They actually used to have flights. So,
Oh, they-
so Wendover would fly charter flights in for weekends, and they had some big name performers. And it would be a week long. Probably familiar with that. I mean, I'm not talking about, you know, second level entertainers, some
Right.
high end entertainers that, you know.
Yeah, that was very popular, especially out in Wendover.
Yeah.
They had that Salt Lake City market,
Yep.
and it was very profitable.
But they would also fly folks in they have regular flights in from Texas. And anyway, I know we're not going to do that, but
And you were talking about they were coming into Carson for?
no,
Oh.
the flights were going into West Wendover.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, that's a whole nother level. But I was talking about the buses that used to come from either Sacramento or the Bay Area, where they used to come to Carson.
They'd,
And I,
they'd,
you know,
they'd come from the Bay Area,
Yeah.
Sacramento area. The problem that most operators had with it, if you were the first stop, you wanted the first stop. If you're the last stop, they're out of money.
right, right.
Because they've stopped everywhere else. And it just became about numbers. They would not have a numbers on the bus, and
Couldn't
they
sell
would
the bus out.
they just, hey, you want to go to Carson City and Reno for a weekend?
Yeah,
Better than sleeping on the street.
yeah.
And so, but no,
Well-
they're still out there. There's still.
But
some
they,
in
yeah,
Reno.
they still do have those tours out, the casino tours. And I think with post-COVID, you're starting to see more and more interest in that type of tour, that type of coach coming.
Yeah.
So that's part, obviously, because I do get asked about the casinos in our area. So,
I mean, there's some attractive components
Oh,
to
yeah,
going to a smaller
definitely.
community. I mean, your table prices are generally less than they are in Reno. You know, you don't have to spend $50 a hand on blackjack, you know.
right.
And that, I mean, it sounds trivial, but it's not. You
No,
know, to the number
no,
of
it's
people
not.
that
And
we
it's a
bring
big
in.
part of what the motor coaches.
All right, sorry to
So that's okay.
derail your bus.
No problem. Any other questions? All right. So just some of the new events coming up. I touched on some of them before. The Sagebrush Classic, I talked about at the last meeting. This is the one that's going to be at Fuji Park. We have the dates. And as you can see on the Sagebrush Classic, they made a flyer. It will be modified, of course. But this is the Model A Ford Classic. They go all over California and some other states, and they're coming here at Carson. And I've talked to the coordinator already, and we already have, they already have close to 100 cars signed up. And this is January and May, so we could have a full capacity, probably could be around 300 cars, but they're all Model A Fords, rebuilt, obviously. So I'm looking forward to that one. I think that'll be fun. It'll be kind of like the Ford Bronco we had, classic Broncos. And we're also working on Arena Wars. We're going to bring cage fighting to Carson City. We got tentative dates. I'm working with Parks and Rec on that. And as soon as I get more confirmation, the coordinator, the owner of Arena Wars is actually supposed to come down this month to tour Carson City, do a site tour. I'm going to take him around, show him the MAC, and then we'll talk to Parks and Rec about setting up a confirmation of the dates. He has to go before the Nevada Boxing Commission to get the approval, to do this. So from what he said, he already has the dates. We just have to set it up with the Parks and Rec. So I've actually never seen one myself aside from TV, so might be fun. But it's another draw, another interest that I think will bring a lot of people from the outside into Carson City. Obviously, it's a very popular sport, so any questions on that one? Oops. And then right after the ABA In February, David and I will be up there probably, is the Go West, and there's getting close to 600 attendees. I think that is pretty impressive. I think everyone loves Tahoe, so I think that'll be a great show. I think there'll be a lot of people coming in from all over the country, maybe even overseas, I would think, too. I had 38 appointments. The appointment opening doesn't open till January 25th. So once that opens, then we start making requests for appointments. And then with that, we also have what we talked about. We're going to bring Venture Day to from Go West. We're doing a share with Carson Valley. They're going to go down there for a couple hours, have lunch, and then they're coming up here. We're going to do go to Stewart Indian School, where Ben Rupert's going to be having a dance performances, and we're going to be there. And then Mary Bennett's going to be on the bus. Her and I are going to be on the bus doing the historic aspect of Carson City, which she is obviously, as you know, incredible. Usually we're capping it at about 30 people, I think, for this tour. And then there's other tours, the Virginia City, Reno, and then, of course, around Tahoe. So that should be fun. And that's it. Any questions?
Thank you, Stu. Yeah. Oh, was there a question? Sorry. Yeah, great new cool events coming. The only thing Stu forgot to mention was we're looking for one of our board members to represent Visit Carson City in one of those fights for Arena Wars. So you don't all have to
Good luck,
raise your
Bobby.
hand now. But thank you, Bobby, for volunteering. Member Giomi just said so. That's wonderful. All right. Great. With that, we're going to move on. Thank you, Stu. We're going to move on to 11E, Marketing and PR Update. Ryan, Jenna, and Sarah are going to handle this one for us this month. If you guys, Stu, if you'll just disconnect that cord and then pass the, no, not that one, no, just the power one, and then pass that down. And I'm going to let them, did you break my Surface, Stu? So I'm going to let these guys handle, it's a normal update, but also I want to talk through the Quest and the new no commission booking engine that we're going to be integrating into the website. So it's a full deck, full run. And with that, Ryan, you're going to start us off. Great. And you guys just introduce yourselves as you speak the first time. That'd be great. So thank you.
Thank you, Dave. I'm Ryan Sullivan, and I am here with Sarah Polito and Jenna Hubert, and we have, just like Dave said, a pretty stacked schedule. We'll kind of be going through the web and paid digital media, touching a little bit on Datafy, as Dave mentioned. We don't have all those metrics yet because the campaign's still going, but we do have a little bit that we can go through. It's good news too. So we'll be sure to go through that. We have a little bit on Glocally. They handle social media influencers. And so we have some data on a recent social media influencer who came in October and did a couple different content. And then go through the monthly newsletter, public relations. And then what's new to this board meeting is we will be taking you guys through the Carson City to Canada Quest that Dave had mentioned. And then we have a RIPE booking walkthrough. So to get us started, we'll go through the web and paid digital media. So typically how we've been doing this is we'll have these high-level highlights that we will share with you guys for the web and paid digital media highlights, the email, and also PR. We do meet with Dave actually this week. We'll go through a fuller report, which he will share with you guys too, which will have much more data and analysis in there. But what we see here is the web visitations. They are up month over month. Year over year, we do see an increase as well. With the paid digital ads, we do see a decline in web visits. This can be a little bit towards the paid social. What we usually are running is an events carousel campaign on Facebook. Obviously, because we don't have a lot of events right now going on in Visit Carson City at this time, we've paused that campaign. And then once, I know Stu had mentioned, and Eric about events coming on, and once we start having those and we can promote those, we'll have that campaign going again and running, and we should see the numbers start going up as well. This also is interesting too because there's a slight decline in the newsletter signups too. A lot of people were coming from the events carousel campaign. We're coming from those and signing up for that. So we do see that going up as well too once the events carousel is up and running. And then for our Google Ads, we have seen an increase in the lodging referrals. This, I think, has to do with the optimization we made we have those itinerary pages on the Visit Carson City website, and we've been optimizing those pages. So we're targeting those better with like keywords. So if people are searching and looking for certain things, we now have those pages kind of more directly linking to them so then they can get access to those. I will kind of touch a little bit on when I go through the RIPE walkthrough as well too. There's going to be a bigger support on that and a bigger push because we'll have like a widget now that will be integrated on there where people can book their stays, which I think will help as well. So I think we'll be seeing some movement on there as well. Any questions so far? Okay. So I did want to talk about the Datify and like we were talking about, and Dave was mentioning the Datify pulls the geolocation data from the mobile devices of the tourists that come from Carson City. So pretty clear that that's just the tourists that are pulling. So this data is not pulling like any local data. So this really is showing us like a clear picture of anybody who is coming in through and visiting Carson City. Besides the data that we get, we also, and David mentioned this, have a winter campaign that we launched. So we have video and static ads that we're running. Those are going between November until January. And so far, the benchmarks and basically the KPIs that Datify and we agreed to and like we had set, we're actually exceeding those right now, which is great. We may see that level out a little bit as we start gathering more data, but it's good to know that it's doing really, really well. Like Dave had mentioned, there is about a 3-week delay on like the visitor data that we do get. So this data that we are sharing with you is from December 1st through the 16th. And just so you guys, to kind of point out the attribution data, that 866 total trips, that was for people. So basically how this works is that 866 is for people who were shown our ads and then came to Carson City. So that doesn't mean that they all stayed in Carson City, but that at least means those people received our ads and then their location was picked up here while they were here. And then of those 866 total trips, 42 of those stayed within one of our lodging locations too. I do think like looking at like the 866 people, that could also mean, because we're looking at, like I said, the 42 is for the lodging. Those 866 could still be people may be staying at somebody's house, an Airbnb. That's not totally counting. That 42 is not counting that. So that could be there too. So it could be even a little bit higher, but really good numbers. And then our biggest DMA was Sacramento, who were coming here too, which is great. And then we had a TikTok advertising. So we whitelisted the influencer who came here. Her name or handle is Shelby Says. I'll kind of go into her information a little bit more in the Glocally section, but that did pretty well. And we had quite a few web visits from her content. Her content we basically had going from like November until mid-December, and it was like a fall like TikTok video that she put together. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. The 1,288 website visits, were these Facebook ads, TikTok ads? Where were they coming from?
Good question. So this is more, what we're running is with Datafy is more like display ads. So anything on like, like the website, or if anyone's going to like a different website or any cookies that were getting picked up, like that's where these web visits were coming from.
They're banner ads.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Another question. Are you finding that those display ads and the banner ads are converting better than your TikTok? Because do you find that the TikTok advertising is more just good for marketing and branding purposes, or are those ads actually converting as well, or just as well as the display ads?
I think that's a really good question. With the TikTok advertising, we're only looking at, I think with this one, and we've done this a little bit with Facebook as well too, where we'll more boost a post. So when Nevada Day had happened, there was a video that Visit Carson City put on. We actually put a little bit paid advertising into it. And so then that way we kind of boosted that. I think with the TikTok video, we are kind of strategic where we look at where we're kind of like maybe not making an entire campaign, but more like whitelisting like content that we know will like deliver and kind of boost that a little bit as well too. We continue to keep like looking at where we can optimize as well through like I mentioned, our social ads, as well as like looking into these like one-off videos and see how they're doing too, what really works the best.
Yeah. And Sarah Polito, Vice President Client Strategy with KPS3. One of the things that we're noticing too is with TikTok, it's obviously going to be a much younger audience. So we're able to hit people in that different generation, whereas banner ads are kind of hitting people in that older generation. So it's a little bit different from an audience perspective. So we're glad to be in both spaces at this point. But just based on these website visits, the other thing with Datafy is we also have some video ads as well. So it's video ads plus the banner ads. So the video ads we think truly are generating a lot of that traffic that we're seeing as well.
And those video ads are on Facebook or?
Those also YouTube. They're on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
YouTube ads. Okay.
We have to buy through YouTube on that. Am I correct on that, Ryan?
Yes.
I want to double check.
Yes.
Okay.
No, you're correct. So yeah, we have the video and the static ads that are basically running through Datafy.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I'll touch on a little bit of Glocally. And as I was mentioning with the TikTok advertising, so this is a little different. So Glocally works directly with Visit Carson City. So before Lydia left on maternity leave, it was Lydia and the KPS3 team and Glocally met together to kind of decide on who should come to Carson City and what content we wanted them to cover. So ultimately, we landed on Shelby Burns. She's visited Carson City before, so she's not new to it by any means, and her content does very well. So she created a 1 Instagram reel, a TikTok video, and 18 Instagram stories about Carson City. And overall, her content generated 1.4% engagement rate, which the industry average is just under 1%. And her content reached over 46,000 people with quite a few impressions. And I think overall, it's been really helpful having somebody here, especially I think as Sarah had mentioned, looking at those different audiences too, and having somebody young kind of see Carson City and see it through like a different lens can lend itself very well. And then we have below some of the comments about her content. I won't go through and read all of them because they say hot springs are my jam. But but I think overall, I think we can see that that whole organic aspect of it and people coming to Carson City and seeing just even from these comments, we can kind of pull from that there is that feel of people being like, oh, okay, Carson City, I want to go there. It's, my next trip too. Any questions?
Okay, I have one. Going back to the marketing on the video ads on YouTube and the display ads. What was the breakdown of the total spend on those ads? Like,
So
what was the budget
I have to get back to you with that exact number, which we can follow up. I believe the entire Datafy budget for the entire year is $50,000 in placement. So we would
That's
be able
correct.
to provide a breakdown on that from a monthly standpoint.
Perfect. That would be great. Thank you.
And that's what we're working with Datafy to kind of help break that down too. So yeah, we'll be able to share those numbers with you once we have like that full campaign wrap up. All right. So for the monthly newsletter, we had one email we had sent out, our monthly one to our right. And we sent this out to just over 8,900 people received this email. People who the subscribe and like open rate was of those was just shy of 4,800 people. And so that was a 40% increase in people who opened our email compared to last month. And then of those people, 233 people clicked. And as you can see, we have kind of like the list of the top clicked links. 233 clicked to the Visit Carson City website. Any questions? Okay. So we have public relations next. And during December, we prepared for the Carson City to Canada Quest campaign by looking into key media for press material distribution and pitching. We did secure a placement for the family-friendly activities in the Pride Journeys, which is an online LGBTQ travel outlet. And in partnership with RTT, we helped facilitate a visit with Camley, who's a social media influencer and content creator. And so we'll have more information about this in our full report, but she hiked with the High Sierra Pack Goats, attended the Silver and Snowflakes annual tree lighting, and then kind of went around Carson City as well. And then finally, we have the additional media mentions, and we were included in the Las Vegas Sun, and then the AmericanRails.com published Nevada Scenic Train Rides Guide as well. Any questions? All right. Well, here we go.
Okay, so Sarah Polito, we are now going to talk about the campaign that Dave had mentioned, the Carson City to Canada Quest. So we're really, really excited about this. This is going to be one of those pop-up campaigns that we had talked about earlier in our marketing plan presentation. Our approach here is really to help shine a light on Carson City's outdoor brand pillar. And we really want to be able to draw people in, let them know about all the amazing outdoor activities that are here, all the incredible trails. And that really will be able to highlight that new Cap to Tahoe trail. But to make this even bigger and better, it is going to be starting here at the Capitol and then making their way up into Canada. And so the way that we're going to be doing that is working with two different influencers who will start here and go all the way up to Canada. Throughout their journey, we're going to be capturing a lot of their content, being able to utilize that ourselves. We'll be creating our own content and hopefully helping inspire people to want to come here to Carson City. So it should be a really great opportunity for us to get that user-generated content and also just continue to promote that from an organic standpoint, as well as through some paid efforts. So we're really excited about this opportunity. And then when we look at our goals for this too, we want to help try to raise awareness, again, like I said, about Carson City being this destination where you can go experience the outdoors. You also have that proximity to Lake Tahoe, which is incredibly important for us to highlight, engaging in those outdoor enthusiasts and trying to draw them in, and then continuing to promote the Capitol to Tahoe Trail as a premier outdoor adventure place. And if that 16 miles is no joke. So it will be a really great opportunity for us to talk about that, along with all the other trails that Carson City has to offer. All right. Perfect. And so just our first step is to secure the influencers, and then from there we'll be able to create those assets and then start rolling out our campaign in the summertime. All right, I'm going to toss it to Jenna to talk about the creative. Take this.
Yeah, so our approach is going to be phased. So in this first phase, we're developing the campaign around this, creating that rally cry, creating that messaging that we'll use cross-divisionally from creative to our PR pitch to our paid advertising. We'll also have a landing page for this campaign, which will make it nice and trackable. And then we'll also have a map integration once this hike kind of, I call it a hike, this epic journey of 1,600 miles kicks off, where you'll be able to follow these two people. And then the PR pitch, of course. So those are kind of our initial pieces of this. The map won't be live, of course, until this kicks off, but when we do launch it, it will have information about the campaign, the form for people to apply, and some of the nitty-gritty details that are being ironed out. All right. So for the campaign concept, we're really leaning into Carson City's pioneering spirit and that compass that's such a key part of our visual identity. So we're calling it Finding Your True North Out West. And so our idea here is to really call to that inner adventurer that is within these brave people who do the Pacific Crest Trail type of through hikes, by not just letting the mountains are calling being a phrase on your mug or a poster on your wall, but actually getting up and answering that call. So that is some of the language and the approach that we'll be using for this campaign. Of course, we'll be packaging it around, as Sarah mentioned, it kicking off on the capital steps, basically, and then being able to take that trail all the way up to Canada. And as we know, that 16-mile trail connects to the Tahoe Rim Trail, which connects to the PCT. Then you're on your way. So that's really where we want to get our hooks in and speak to people who might be looking for a challenge like this. And then the tagline at the end, like, you only get one life, don't let it pass you by. So that's kind of how we'll wrap up the campaign. This will also adapt to when we do the paid campaign closer in the spring, so closer to when these hikers take off. So we'll be adapting it for that 16-mile journey, the 6-mile walk, and opening it up to more of the outdoor aspect that Carson City has to offer. So the challenge itself, as you've heard it called, is the Carson City to Canada Quest. This is something that's popular in Pacific Crest Trail lingo. They often will do these side quest type journeys. So we're kind of tapping into that. And then, we don't necessarily want to call it a contest or a challenge. It's not a race. So it's really just a big epic journey for somebody to take. So that'll be the driving force around just this quest aspect of it. And we do have a visual identity that we've created to live alongside, of course, the Carson City identity. But we went ahead and developed a logo for this, if we want to do that big reveal. So this is kind of the mark that will represent the Carson City to Canada Quest. Some fun little Easter eggs in there. We've got the compass pointing north, so that follow your compass concept comes through on this. And then we've really made sure to highlight that quest part. It has the little compass arrows on it as well. And then, of course, from Carson City to Canada, that mountain to mountain type of representation in this. And we wanted to be mindful of it pairing really well with our existing brand, it fitting right in and complementing it. So we wanted to have some fun with it, little proof of concept here. So when we have these people on the trails hiking and representing Carson City at, to a point, this is what it might look like on a branded hat. And then we've also worked on a bit of a look and feel from the design standpoint. So if you're wondering, what does this start to look like from an advertising standpoint? What is this going to feel like? We've tapped into some of the secondary color palettes that Carson City has in their brand and brought that out. Looks a little gritty. Definitely it's going to be a get your boots dusty type of a campaign. And again, we bring in some of that language from the concept here. Lastly, we've got just a quick comp of that landing page. We're working on the actual design and content of it, so you'll see some verbiage on there that is not in English. So don't try to read it. So that's just placeholder, but we'll have a video that will be developed so that we can really get that call to entry or call to apply out there. And then you can see how it kind of lives alongside the Carson City logo and brand as well. Just kind of fits right in. So some sample key messaging. So we put this together so that, again, we're all saying the same thing and talking about the campaign in the same way. So creative dips into this, public relations dips into this, and our paid advertising will dip into this as well. And we've been working collaboratively to make sure that we're everything we're saying here is above board because obviously there's a lot of ins and outs and details about this campaign. So answer the call of the wild, embark on the Carson City to Canada quest, and hike 1,600 miles along the PCT. Your adventure begins here. Don't just dream it, hike it. The Carson City to Canada quest is calling all adventurers. Will you be one of 2 hikers selected to achieve something extraordinary? The Carson City to Canada quest is a testament to the region's adventurous spirit and history of pushing limits in the name of exploration. Your compass is pointing toward $5,000 and the adventure of a lifetime. I think my compass is pointing that way too. Adventure partners wanted, join the Carson City to Canada quest for a chance to achieve something remarkable and take on a portion of the PCT. And then for our call to action to get these people, these individuals to come to the website and apply, the adventure of a lifetime starts with a single step. Submit your application and secure your spot in the Carson City to Canada quest and stake your claim. Join the Carson City to Canada quest and earn $5,000. Your journey starts now. So you can see how the campaign concept is going to be threaded into this message and the direction that we're going to go with the copy. I raced through that, but any questions?
Quick one. I assume you'll do media along the way, so when someone starts, if they walk through, I don't know exactly where the Pacific Coast Trail goes after it leaves Nevada.
Yes.
So, so like local TV stations, you might do a story on, hey, coming into wherever, into Boise today is, John and Sue from the Capital to Canada Trail, right?
Yeah, we'll be pitching the local media, also some hiking and outdoors publications. And then we're also looking at creating some relationships with some Canadian reporters as well. So when they get to Canada,
cool.
we might be able to come back full circle on that. So that we're kind of really trying to hit people at multiple points throughout the challenge
Okay,
or the
thanks.
quest.
Yeah. And then we'll have that that map that you'll be able to go in and see the progress of where these individuals are. And then part of that contract with us, if you will be the creating assets along the way. So they'll have pictures to post and updates to post as they're hiking as well.
So you're looking for people who are already social influencers, media, bloggers, whatever. Right. And are you aiming for one male and one female, or do you care?
Not necessarily. I don't think we've put any parameters around that. Seeing who applies.
Yeah. Ideally, we would love the diversity, but
Yeah, it would be
truly it's
good to
going to
have
be
some
about
diversity,
the personalities that can
Sure.
come through, what kind of followers do they have, all of those sorts
Sure.
of things. So there'll be a couple different elements that we're looking at.
Thank you.
We're excited about this one.
All right.
We'll move on to RIPE integration then, if that's okay, Chair. Can we keep going on, move forward? Okay, perfect. Okay. Take it, Ryan. Yeah. Thank you,
Okay.
guys.
So I'm going to kind of talk a little bit through the RIPE walkthrough and then show you guys some examples on a developmental website that we have. So not all this is live. This will be going live next week. And I've already done a full walkthrough with Dave. But So what is Ripe? Ripe is a booking engine lodging service provider that facilitates connection between travelers and lodging partners. Visit Carson City created the relationship with Ripe, and then KPS3 assisted Visit Carson City with integrating Ripe onto the Visit Carson City website. We looked at this as a whole because basically there is a code, and I won't go through all the details and make you guys go to bed early, but there's a code you add to the website, but we really looked at this from a whole standpoint of the Visit Carson City website and saw where can we add this and what do we need to make sure that this is functioning properly and also is working really well. So not only did we build a customizing booking widget, which is an example right there, and I'll show you guys, we redid the Stay in Carson City page. If you were to go to the Stay in Carson City page right now, it's basically just a roll-up of all the hotels within Carson City. And so because Ripe created something like that, we didn't want those two things to be competing and confuse a user who would come to the website. So we have Ripe's one, and I'll show you what that looks like. They designed that one, but then I'll show you kind of like our user experience to make sure that we kind of thought of all areas where a user can go and then make sure that they are booking. And then the last thing that's important to mention too is we have, and continuing till we launch, set up full tracking on this too. So then that way we can really track who's coming and how they're booking and see what's working too. So I'm gonna get out of this. Dave, is it just, is it Chrome or, oh, yep. Okay. So as I mentioned, this is like a customized website. So this isn't like the current Visit Carson City website. That's why you'll see the video is a little bit different than the one that we do have, but I do want to show you guys before this goes live. So this is the widget that we created. So has, and this will be on the home page is one area. And so how this works is if I click on the check in and check out, I'll be able to select the days that I want to stay. Oops. And then how many guests, it'll just be me. And then clicking search will then take me to a roll-up page. This is basically where all the hotels are. This is now taking me to the stay. And so from here, right on top. But this is, and I'll kind of go into this a little bit more because there's a little bit of a delay loading, so I already have this loaded up. But I do want to show you some of the other places. So I mentioned, I just showed you the homepage, and now we have the Stay in Carson City. So this used to be the old hotels page for Carson City. So it would be in the main navigation. This would be the new page. We still wanted something. So then that way visitors who came to the website could still look up like where to stay. So we created a brand new landing page that basically has this widget again at the top so people can book, but then mentions more of like the experience in Nevada and the locations, staying here, another call to book the lodging, the events. There will be, once there's like events on here, they'll be showing on the right-hand side. And then just more things for people to do too. So really this page is, we see it as replacing the hotel page that I mentioned to really call out some of those locations and have at least multiple areas for people to book. And so that's the stay page. We also wanted to make sure, again, with this, and I'll just go back up to it really quickly. This widget, this booking widget, we can add that to multiple parts of the website. So really we were looking at where else is strong areas to have this. And so in our Plan Your Trip, we made sure to also include that here. So this is already a page that's on the Visit Carson City website. And it is kind of like the main page for the, before you click on the individual itineraries, kind of showing the things to do. And then there will be the part where people can book. In addition to that, if a user were to click on one of these itineraries, again, we wanted to make sure that this widget is prominent. So we have those itineraries that people can scroll through. And then at the bottom, we have, again, the booking widget there. So multiple areas. We added this widget to these locations, these itineraries in the Plan Your Trip, because as I was mentioning earlier with some of these pages that we optimized, although this isn't live now, we're hoping, once we have this is just another way to kind of like optimize these pages so they do better when users do come to it. They can actually look for a place to book. And I kind of was showing this a little bit, this is that page. If I were to fill out my information, you'll see it has a map on the right-hand side that kind of shows areas or places of interest around Carson City, and then also includes the different hotels. If I click on like Inside Scoop, it will kind of give me a little bit of information on each hotel. And I believe, Dave, you worked with Ripe to add this information in there, right?
Correct. So yes, exactly. In terms of, collecting information on the property level, amenity level. It's not unlimited, right? Because again, it's a third-party piece that Ripe does for the different clients. But yeah, so I should interject if I may, Ryan, just for a second. Once we get this baby up and running and live, the plan will be for Stu and I, maybe Chris too, but we're going to get a lodging property meeting together because we do want to sit down with the 19 hotels, motels, RV parks in Carson City just to kind of walk through this. Because again, this is a commission-free, it's another opportunity for people to book rooms. So yeah, and do people go through Expedia? Sure. Do they come directly to websites? But we're going to have some dollars behind this because if you all, recall, one of the main conversions or events that take place on our website are lodging property referrals, where folks are coming into our website and then at present, as Ryan showed you on that first window, clicking right off to the hotel's websites. We don't have the visibility once they leave our website, right, to does a booking actually happen or occur? Well, now within this Ripe integration, we've got the analytics, and KPS3 has done a great job here with GA4 to integrate the tracking necessary on our side to track the heck out of people as they're navigating through the stay.com and the rest of the website for that matter. But it'll give us validation on the Ripe end in terms of what we're seeing from the analytics on the back end of their system. We won't get individual people's information, of course, right? But we'll be able to determine, okay, month of March, we had 87 bookings resulting in 214 room nights, right, to Carson City hotels. And so we're tracking it on our end, and then we'll be receiving the tracking from the analytics platform that Ripe uses as well. So just kind of a balancing mechanism for us. But we also, in the booking funnel, we also want to see, well, are people, they're getting so far on our end, and are they not clicking through too, right? And so that's kind of the balancing act that we have to play. We can do so much on our website. Ripe doesn't have access to that, obviously. We're relying on them in terms of the platform and analytics of the information that we can get once they leave our website, right, to book a room or whatever, an RV space for that matter. So so the plan will be lodging property meeting. I do want to get this up and running and talking with the chair about it. There's a lag on data here too, and I don't remember if this is a 3-week there is a lag on the data in terms of it showing up within the right system, and I don't remember what that is off the top of my head. But I do want to have some data coming through after the point that we launch this, so we can actually sit down and have a conversation, with the lodging properties, right, and kind of talk them through this, and maybe even update some of the information that we've previously been provided. If we've got something in there that doesn't look right, or there's something you all would like to have, referencing your particular property. So yeah, I mean, I say it's a work in progress only from the standpoint that there's been a lot of time in the last 2+ months, maybe 3 months, creating this more user-friendly user experience as it relates to us guiding people through to booking, a room or a RV space on our website. And we'll have marketing dollars behind this as well. But the tracking is, I think, such a critical piece to this, and thanks to KPS3 and the team. I mean, they've really honed in on that, and we're timing this with the GA4 switchover with Google, and trying to make sure that everything we're doing here with the new pages is working, tracking correctly. And right now we're in the midst of all of that to do test bookings to actually, I think, follow the transaction all the way through to completion right now. So a lot of work, a lot of credit to these guys for the work they've been doing for the past 2.5, 3 months on this. So, but yes, short answer to that question is information came from properties, also from information that we had on our website, which previously came from those properties. And then same thing with the amenities and the other areas we were pulling from Datafy in this case to pull in some of the points of interest as well that we had already identified with that platform. So we're definitely leveraging things where we can, and not sort of recreating something a second time, if that makes sense. So I hope that answers the question.
That was actually my question, so you did. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan, for
Yeah.
the question.
Yeah, and so just, I think Dave covered basically everything on that. Last thing I just wanted to show was once somebody clicks the view and book, they'll get much more details, kind of can read through and select their booking. They, of course, would click the booking, book now, and then it will have credit card information. And then once they fill this out, they'll have a confirmation. And so we are working with Datafy on this piece to make sure that we have all the tracking on these pages that you just saw, plus even all the way to the confirmation, so we can see from the very beginning on our website of where they're going from, like the home page or any of those pages, all the way to the confirmation, and then be able to track all that. Or, any little bits and pieces, just like Dave mentioned, and see where pages are performing better, what's working. So I think this is going to be a really cool thing. Any questions on this?
Awesome. Well, thank you. I think this is a cool, exciting thing for this year that we're bringing to the website, to our visitors, and most importantly, to the properties that are collecting that transient occupancy tax from visitors. So I think it's a great way for us to reinvest in our hotels, motels, and RV parks in Carson City. So thank you, guys. Great work on this. Appreciate it. And once we go live, we'll do an update, fingers crossed, at the February meeting, so we can actually show it live on the website and outside of a dev site. So thank you. All right, with that, we'll move on to 11F, future agenda items. Does anybody want to see anything at the next meeting? Okay. Hearing and none on that front. 11G, upcoming meeting, February 12th, right here in this room, 4 p.m. Be here or be square. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Chair Jones. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Move on to item 12, board comments or announcements, requests for information. Board Member Rader.
Yeah, I'd just like to share a couple of exciting projects that we're doing out at Stewart. One of those is that we're collaborating with the Nevada Museum of Art. They received a grant from the Lilly Foundation to create a new space to display their Great Basin native basketry. And with that, they want to create an indigenous garden on the top level of the Nevada Museum of Art. And so we're working with them to connect them with Great Basin native basket weavers, as well as people who are traditional plant experts. And then we're collaborating with them because we're doing a medicinal garden at Stewart. And so we're going to be using the same consultants, native consultants. And then we're going to develop curriculum materials to share at both of our museums about the plants that have been used in both gardens. And the second thing is the City of Carson City asked us if we would help them create some new signage along Prison Hill. And one is going to be about Stewart Indian School, and the other is going to be about the Stewart S and the creation of the Stewart S. That's it.
Thank you. Any other comments, requests? Takes us to item 13, public comment. I'll ask for public comment.
Oh, no, I was just going to say.
I'm sorry.
No worries. Thank you. No, I was just going to say, thank you guys for the marketing and PR update. That was really insightful, and I'm looking forward to the follow-up regarding the ad spend. And I'm happy to be here, and it's been a pleasure just kind of listening in and playing catch up, I guess. So, thank you.
I will move to public comment. Anyone? I think we'll stew.
Thank you, Chair and authority. I appreciate all your efforts. I hesitated coming tonight for a bunch of different reasons, but I'm certainly glad I came. The reviews that you made of your your past considerations and the progress you've made on all of the subjects that you mentioned tonight. And while I'm still a little confused about the Canadian deal, how much it costs, how it's set up and stuff, some of the specifics of that, I really look forward to looking into that for myself, actually. But I just appreciate your efforts. A lot of you make a big sacrifice to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Denny French, Carson City. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I take a motion, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
We're adjourned.